a summary of many small incidents, pastimes, and then Prabhupada, what he has done is he has given important instructions, taking a cue from each of these small incidents. So just last week, we had a discussion about an astrologer coming and trying to find out who is this person, what exactly, he was used to seeing the palms of ordinary people and would predict that, okay, you have some bad time or you have some good times coming. So today from text 105, we'll see what happens when he sees the astrological calculations for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So text 105, we are beginning with it. Gani dhyane dekhe sarvagya mahajyotirmoy ananta vaikuntha brahmanda sabara ashray. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Shri Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami. Translation. Through calculation and meditation, the all-knowing astrologer saw the greatly effulgent body of the Lord, which is the resting place of all the unlimited Vaikuntha planets. Purport. Here we get some information of the Vaikuntha world or spiritual world. Vaikuntha, Vai and Kuntha, that's how this word is bifurcated. Vai means without, Kuntha means anxiety, and that's what Prabhupada says here. Vaikuntha means without anxiety. In the material world, everyone is full of anxiety. But another world where there is no anxiety is described in the Bhagavad Gita 8.20. Parastasmattu bhavunyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in the world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. As there are many planets within the material world, there are many millions of planets called Vaikuntha Lokas in the spiritual world. All these Vaikuntha Lokas or spiritual or superior planets rest on the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Kopi, Brahma Samhita 5.40. The Brahman effulgence emanating from the body of the Supreme Lord creates innumerable planets in both the spiritual and material worlds. Thus, these planets are creations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The astrologer saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the very same personality of Godhead. We can just imagine how learned he was. Yet he was traveling door to door just like an ordinary beggar for the highest benefit of human society. So 2-3 nice points coming out from this discussion. It is said that Vedic culture was so advanced that finding out your past, finding out your future was not considered a very great kind of an art. For example, if somebody comes from a particular civilization and looks at you and me today and finds that we just take out a small, this size gadget and we start speaking to people. And they may say, oh, how do you manage that? Well, this is a mobile phone. I remember in the early days of using mobile phones in Mumbai, somebody laughing to himself or somebody being very serious would be seen as, I mean, what happened to this person? Why is he laughing to himself or why is he shouting? Now, in the local trains or in the buses or on the road, it is so easy to see someone just having something like this and ha, ha, ha. Now, you know that for you, it is incomprehensible. For you, it is difficult. But he is in touch with a loved one. And because of this device, they are able to talk. One generation ago, this was considered like a dream. Nobody would have thought of that. All of this is put in one bag, Vedic culture bag called inconceivable powers, mystic powers, or siddhis. Siddhi is a word fairly those who are in India, they can understand. Now, do you know the hierarchy of siddhis? We humans, we are considered the least of the people who have siddhis. Sometimes animals lower than us, they also exhibit siddhis. A few days ago, in one social media platform where I am a member, somebody posted a video of a spider making a web. And they said, it is oddly satisfying to see this spider weave the web. Now, you may say spider, a stupid spider, there are billions of them. And when you see a cobweb in your house, like if a house guest comes and they see, why there are so many cobwebs here? Oh, at least in India, it would say that, like if a mother-in-law sees that her daughter-in-law's room is kept like that with cobwebs, she may say, oh, she doesn't have culture. She doesn't know how to clean things. So, if you ask the spider, sir, how do you do it? He says, well, there is something in my body that liquid comes out and I just go on weaving. Now, the spider's web is considered a high point of mysticism. Can you believe that? Because where does he get the ingredients to make that web? From his own body. He doesn't buy them. He doesn't order them from Amazon. It's already there in him. Tell me one human being who has made a house for himself by just taking out things from his stomach and said, well, this is my own house. I made it with the ingredients myself. No way. The maximum we can do is we can go and cut our own wood. We can make our own mud. We can make bricks. But for making those bricks, we have to depend on the sun. Just ordinary clay mixed with water won't help. So God is actually compared with a spider in the sense that he creates the ingredients for making this world by not borrowing them, stealing them, begging them from anyone. And still, human beings are so proud of their mystic power. So our communications, our entertainment, our automobiles, our artificial intelligence and whatnot, every generation has something they say, oh, this is so cutting edge. Within 20 years, life will be revolutionized. No. If you look back 150, 180 years, you'll always find the record has been very disappointing. When some secretaries were surveyed in America as to the dictaphone, the paper copier, the Xerox machine, the coffee machine, they were all called labor-saving devices. Have you heard that before? Time-saving and labor-saving devices. What happens after a few years of usage? They only succeed in stealing away your time. They are not labor-saving, they are not time-saving. In fact, they are thieves of time, or they are thieves of more labor. So this is something which Srimad Bhagavatam says, people see, but they do not see because they don't have superior vision. They don't have a spiritual vision to see that. Second point is, such an important service like giving astrological consultation, but in the past, such people would be just going from door to door, just begging for some food, accepting something in kind, some new cloth If they were householders, they would accept pots from a potter, or something to work in the kitchen from a blacksmith. A tailor would give them stitched clothing, and they would offer their services. It is a matter of shame today that these kind of essential services are given at such a high price, whether it is medical help or astrological help. Like typical case in India, if somebody wants to start a business, they would ask for a proper time, and such a astrologer would help. They would tell whether is this spot good enough to make a building for a shop or for a house. Vastu Shastra. Vastu means how you decide whether to make a dwelling in this particular place or that particular place. That also is available free, practically free of charge. So the point Prabhupada is making is, even though these are not spiritual sciences, even though astrology doesn't come strictly as a spiritual discipline, in a proper culture, these services are available plentifully and also at a very low cost. Any thoughts on this before we move on? Okay, so we go to the next verse. Text 106. Paramatattva Parabrahma Paramaishvara Dekhi Prabhur Murti Sarvagya Haila Phapara. Translation. Seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the same absolute truth, the supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, the astrologer was confused. Purport. Herein it is clearly indicated that the absolute truth, the supreme Brahman, is in the ultimate issue the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, a person is the beginning of all things. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Matta Sarvam Pravartate. Everything begins from the supreme personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is the supreme living entity. Therefore, whatever exists, whether matter or spirit, is all but an emanation from the supreme person or supreme life. The modern scientist's theory that life begins from matter is nonsense. Both matter and life begin from life. Unfortunately, the scientists do not know this scientific fact. They are drifting in the darkness of their so-called knowledge. Text 107. Bolitena pare kichu mauna hoila, Prabhu puna prashna kaila kahite lagila. Struck with wonder, the astrologer remained silent, unable to speak. But when the Lord again put the question before him, he replied as follows. Text 108. Purvajanme chila tumi jagatashray, Paripurna Bhagavan Sarvaishwaryamay. My dear sir, in your previous birth, you were the shelter of all creation, the supreme personality of Godhead, full of all opulences. Text 109. Purve Jaichila Tumi Ebehase Roop, Durvigya Nityananda Tomara Swaroop. Translation. You are now the same personality of Godhead that you were in your previous birth. Your identity is inconceivable eternal happiness. Purport. By the power of astrological science, one can even ascertain the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything is to be identified by its symptoms. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is identified by the symptoms mentioned in the Shastras. It is not that anyone and everyone can become God without proof from Shastras. This reminds me of a very interesting dialogue. One reporter, after seeing that the word self-realization has become very fashionable, once asked Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, are you self-realized? Now guess how Prabhupada was compassionate at the same time having full common sense. Prabhupada said, how will you know? Tell me that. If I cheat you and say that, yes, I am, you may agree or you may disagree. But do you know what self-realization means? And he said, no. Then how will you know? So, Vedic culture says that do not worry if you don't get all the answers immediately. That's not the worrying part. Oh, I am not able to understand so many things. Don't worry about the answers, because the answers depend upon your intellectual capacity to understand. Worry whether you are asking the right questions. And there are so many examples of great personalities asking great questions to their great authorities. I'll repeat what I'm saying. Who am I? Why am I being troubled by material nature? Can anyone escape these miseries? I don't know why I took birth. I don't know why I'm growing old. I don't know why my body gets diseased. I don't know why people die. I don't know what happens to people after they die. These are the real questions which a spirit soul is expected to ask. Where is food? Where is sex? Where is protection? Where is entertainment? How do I sleep? No, these are the questions which are, like, just see this point. Prabhupada says animals or anyone lesser than human beings, they don't ask these questions, number one. And even without asking, the answers are provided. Second part. Human beings are meant to ask questions of a higher order. And if you don't ask this question, if your civilization, if your culture, if your environment keeps you asking questions of these four varieties, how to eat, how to sleep, how to mate, how to defend. Prabhupada says, if I call them animals, they become angry. I don't want to insult them. I just want to provoke them into coming to the human form. Like people say, what if we ask the questions, but we don't get any answers? What if we get the wrong answers? What if we have spiritual authorities who are not exactly authorities? The real understanding is, do not worry about these things. Be sincere in your asking, and Krishna will respond with someone sincere who comes to you and gives the answers. You may say, how do you know that? How do you say with such conviction? You see around, birds and bees have not asked any of these questions, but their needs are being fulfilled. Is it not? So why would you be an exception? Why would your questions may go unanswered? No. Krishna has never done it. Krishna will never do it. So we go ahead. Text 110. Prabhu hasi kaila, tumi kichu na janila, purveyami achila, jatite gawaila. When the astrologer was speaking so highly of him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped him and began to smile. My dear sir, he said, I think you do not know very clearly what I was. For I know that in my previous birth, I was a coward boy. Gopagrihe janma chila gabhira rakhal, sai punne hailai be brahmana chawal. In my last birth, I was born in the family of coward men, and I gave protection to the calves and cows. Because of such pious activities, I have now become the son of a brahmana. Purport. The words of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the greatest authority, herein clearly indicate that one becomes pious simply by keeping cows and protecting them. Unfortunately, people have become such rascals that they do not even care about the words of an authority. People generally consider coward men lowly members of society. But herein Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms that they are so pious that in their next life they are going to be brahmanas. The caste system has a specific purpose. If this scientific system is followed, human society will get the greatest benefit. Heeding this instruction by the Lord, people should serve cows and calves and in return get ample quantities of milk. There is no loss in serving the cows and calves. But modern human society has become so degraded that instead of giving protection to the cows and serving them, people are killing them. How can they expect peace and prosperity in human society while committing such sinful activities? It is impossible. This is 1968, no, 1967 rather. And anti-Vietnam conflict was at its peak in America. Previously, the people were told that, oh, this is just some police action we are taking. We cannot allow communism to increase, and the Russians and the Chinese are helping the Vietnamese communists take over the whole country. Not everybody wants it. People are looking to America for help. That's why we are going there. About 30 years later, one of our sannyasis, Devamrita Swami, his uncle told him that, look, we are America, it's our God-given duty to help others. We are for freedom and we are for peace. And in one class, Devamrita Maharaj was saying, after 30 years, sociologists, psychologists, historians are saying, why did we go there? I mean, nobody invited us. Those whom we were attacking were saying, why are you here? And those whom we are helping, they are also saying, why are you here? Now, Prabhupada gave a very deep understanding of this conflict. And he told that, sorry, he told that as long as protected animals are slaughtered, when they don't have anyone to go to, humans can think that, oh, we can do anything. We are powerful. We have machines. We have this. We have that. Prabhupada said, when you open a slaughterhouse for innocent animals, by the law of action and reaction, material nature will open a slaughterhouse for you humans. And people were shocked. They said that, oh, we have wars just because people eat meat. Prabhupada said that is one of the important reasons. Now somebody might say, but in Vedic culture also people are eating meat. Prabhupada said, I agreed, but there was a proper way of doing it. Mainly Christians would say, but Jesus allowed us. Prabhupada said, did he open slaughterhouses and said you can do it on a large scale? He said, perhaps looking at the kind of people he was preaching to, he would say that, all right, this is allowed, that is allowed. But right now, when your supermarkets are full, when your governments are dumping shiploads of grain in the sea just to keep the market prices stable, does it make sense? So Prabhupada said, in one part of the world, people are starving for lack of grains, and another part of the world, governments are throwing grains by the tons in the sea. And he says, all of this is because lack of Krishna consciousness. Once you understand that everything is a complete whole, we are all connected, then said, why not? You're not allowing people to grow grains, and then you say there is starvation here. Just 2 days ago, I was seeing an American news program. California has a drought, famine, and that is giving rise to wildfires, some really big ones. And Hurricane Ida on the East Coast dumped so much water in New York City that the subways were full of water. Now you might say that a famine is better than a hurricane with landfall. No, none is better. But this is how material nature is angry, and she gives this reaction. So I will stop here. Somebody else can read from text 112.
Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Text 112. सर्वज्ञा कहे आमितः ध्याने देखिलान थाहाते ऐश्वर्या देखी फना farahailan. The astrologer said, "What I saw in meditation was full of opulence, and therefore I was confused." Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It appears that the astrologer not only was a knower of the past, present, and future through astrological calculation, but was a great meditator as well. Therefore, he was a great devotee and could see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the same personality as Krishna. He was puzzled, however, about whether Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were actually the same person. Se rupe dekhi ekakar kabu veda dekhi he maya tomar. I'm certain that your form and the form I saw in the meditation are one and the same. If I see any difference, this is an act of your illusory energy. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. In the vision of a perfect devotee, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a combination of Radha and Krishna. One who sees Lord Chaitanya to be different from Krishna is under the illusory energy of the Lord. It appears that the astrologer was already an advanced devotee, and when he came into the presence of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became perfectly self-realized and could see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are one and the same Supreme Person. Text 140. Ye hao se hao tumi tumake namaskar Prabhu tare prema diye kaila purushkar. The all-knowing astrologer concluded, whatever you may be or whoever you may be, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. By his causeless mercy, the Lord then gave him love of Godhead, thus rewarding him for his service. The incident of Lord Chaitanya's meeting the all-knowing astrologer is not mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, but we cannot therefore say that it did not take place. On the contrary, we must accept the statement of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami that whatever the Chaitanya Bhagavat did not mention, he has especially mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Text 115. Ekadina Prabhu Vishnu Mandape Vasiya Madhuana Balena Dakiya. One day the Lord sat down in the corridor of a Vishnu temple and began calling very loudly, "Bring some honey, bring some honey." Nityananda Gosani Prabhura Avesha Janila Gangajala Patrayani Sammukhe Dharila. Nityananda Prabhu Gosani, understanding the ecstatic mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, brought a pot of Ganges water as a token and put it before him. Jalapana kariya nache hana vihavala yamuna karshana lila dekhaya sakala. After drinking the water, Lord Chaitanya became so ecstatic that he began to dance. Thus everyone saw the pastime of attracting the river Yamuna. Purport. Yamuna Karshana Lila is the pastime of attracting the Yamuna. One day Sri Baladev wanted the Yamuna river to come before him. And when the river Yamuna refused, he took his plough, wanting to dig up a canal so that the Yamuna could be obliged to come there. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the original form of Baladev, in his ecstasy he asked everyone to bring honey. In this way, all the devotees standing there saw Yamuna Karshana Lila. In this Lila, Baladev was accompanied by his girlfriends. After drinking a honey beverage from Varuni, he wanted to jump into the Yamuna and swim with the girls. It is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:65, 25 to 30 and 33 that Lord Baldev asked the Yamuna to come near, and when the river disobeyed the order of the Lord, he became angry and thus wanted to snatch her near to him with his plow. The Yamuna, however, very much afraid of Lord Balram's anger, immediately came and surrendered unto him, praying to the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and admitting her fault. She was then excused. This is the sum and substance of the Yamuna Krishna Lila. The incident is also described in the prayers of Jaydev Goswami concerning the 10 incarnations. Vahashi Vapusi Vishade Vashanam Jaladvam Halahati Viti Milita Yamunabham Keshavadrita Haladara Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare. Text 118. Madamatta Gati Baladeva Anukar Acharya Shekhara Tanre Dekhe Ramakar. When the Lord in his ecstasy of Baladev was moving as if intoxicated by the beverage, Advaita Acharya, the chief of the Acharyas, Acharya Shekhara, saw him in the form of Balram. Text 190. Vanamali Acharya dekhe Sonara Langala Sabe mili Nrityakare Aveshe Vihavala. Vanamali Acharya saw a golden plow in the hand of Balram, and the devotees all assembled together and danced, overwhelmed by ecstasy. Hei Mata Nritya Haila Chari Prahara Sandhyaya Ganga Snana Kari Sabegela Gara. In this way, they danced continuously for 12 hours, and in the evening, they all took a bath in the Ganges and then returned to their homes. Nagariya Loke Prabhu Yabe Agnya Dila Gare Gare Sankirtana Karite Lagila. The Lord ordered all the citizens of Navadip to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and each and every home they began performing Sankirtana regularly. Haraya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudan. All the devotees sang this popular song along with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudan. Ridanga Kartala Sankirtana Ridanga Kartala Sankirtana Mahadvani Hari Hari Dhvani Vina Anyana Hi Suni. When the Sankirtan movement thus started, no one in Navadip could hear any sound other than the words of Hari Hari and the beating of the mridangas and clashing of handbells. But what? The International Society of Krishna Consciousness now has its world center in Navadvip, Mayapur. The managers of this center should see that 24 hours a day there is a chanting of the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with the addition of Haraya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. For this song was favorite of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's. But all such Sankirtan must be preceded by the chanting of the holy names of the 5 Tattvas. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas, Adi Gaur, Bhaktavrinda. We are already accustomed to chant these 2 mantras, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas, Adi Gaur, Bhaktavrinda, and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now after this, the other two lines, namely Haraya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Sri Madhusudan, should be added, especially in Mayapur. Chanting of this sixth line should go on so perfectly well that no one there hears any vibration other than the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That will make the center spiritually all perfect.
So we'll stop here for our discussion. Any points, any questions or comments?
Yes, Prabhuji, I was wondering why stress given to chant only in Mayapur, not everywhere else.
No. So this is how you have, if Prabhupada says this should go on, especially here, that doesn't mean that others should not do that. Especially means this is the nerve center, this is the main pivot, this is the headquarters. Imagine the surprise of devotees when in 1970, Prabhupada said that we will have our world headquarters in Mayapur. I said, Mayapur? What do you mean Mayapur? Nobody had been to Mayapur there before. And when they found that Mayapur is about 128 kilometers north of Calcutta, Kolkata today, Calcutta at that time, and practically it was just paddy fields, just fields all around, and snakes everywhere and whatnot, mosquitoes. But Prabhupada said, no, this will be our world headquarters. So when he said we will have our temple, Srila Prabhupada, what do we call our temple here? He said Mayapur Chandroday Mandir. Chandra means the moon. Chandroday means the moonrise. So Mahaprabhu also is called Gaurachandra. And because Mahaprabhu had already chanted there, that land itself is special. It was blessed. The Muslim rulers, in our next discussion, we will have something about how the Muslim rulers treated Mahaprabhu's movement. Mayapur became Miyapur after about 150 years. And the land was purchased by, not purchased, basically just grabbed by the local rulers. And then when they lost their power, the Britishers came. But traditionally it was owned by Muslim families. And during the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it was still, the landlords were all Muslims. But then one kind of strange phenomenon was observed there. There was so much of tulsi growing all over that land. No understanding and no explanation for that. In the villages, people don't have toilets in their homes. They would just go to pastool outside in the jungles, in the forest. So some say that we will use this area for that purpose. But when they would go there, fire flames would come from the ground and they would not be able to do their business. So they thought this is a spooky kind of land. There is some bhoot, there is some kind of bhutbada, it is some ghostly haunted land. And somehow it remained like that for the full 17th century, 18th century, 19th century. And then Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur found it, and then he purchased that land for the Yoga Pit, the place where Mahaprabhu was born. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur purchased another plot for the Caitanya Mutt. And then Prabhupada brought this Mayapur plot, and he said that chanting here should never stop. And even today, there is a website called mayapur.tv. I hope all of you are aware of that. You can take darshan of Mayapur deities every day. You can have darshan of Mayapur main deities. The Bhajan Kutir where Prabhupada stayed, there is 24-hour Harinam going on there. And then the local Jagannath temple, which also was given to ISKCON for management. So that Jagannath Kirtan Darshan also is available, along with at least 20-25 other temples. So no matter which part of the globe you are, Whether it is midnight and you cannot sleep, but you want to see Mangalati somewhere, somewhere Mangalati is going on. That's the beauty of this movement and how modern technology is helping us become Krishna conscious wherever we are. So yes, Prabhupada first taught the Maha Mantra, then he taught the Panchatattva mantra, and then while writing these purports, do you see the sweetness in these purports? It is almost like Prabhupada is writing a memo to his disciples. Please, let us do this now. In Mayapur, this should go on. Now, we will be reading this for the next 10,000 years. So these were some thoughts. Any other points before we sign off?
Prabhuji, last week's question, one question was pending.
Oh, yeah. Can take that.
So, Prabhuji, can you please give some understanding of the differences between incarnation, manifestation, expansion, plenary portion, partial plenary portion? These words.
Oh, you are putting too many things in one small bag. We'll take it one at a time.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Incarnation. The Greek word is karne. Karne is for flesh. And the very idea in Western thought was God has become flesh. Technically not accurate, because God will not take flesh just like you and me. You and me have taken flesh. We have been given a fleshy material body because we have material desires. How do we get rid of this material body? Not by changing the bodily structure, but by changing our mental structure. If material desires are giving me a material body, then will spiritual desires give me something separate? Oh yeah, that's the point. So chanting Hare Krishna, when we say spiritualizing your thought process, which means spiritualizing your desires. And therefore, in this particular human form, if you have sufficient spiritual desires, no more material body for you. No more material body means no more death, no more old age, no more disease. But according to the Buddhists, so we become zero? No, there is no question of zero. You had desires. Desires will always give a body. Spiritual desires will give a spiritual body. So when Western scholars talk in terms of Krishna's incarnation, they say, oh, we understand. Krishna also takes a human body. No, in the Gita, he specifically says, fools do not understand me when I come in a human-like form. Human-like. Krishna eats with his mouth, but he can eat with his eyes also. When you offer food to Krishna, but the food is still there. That's the meaning of being absolute. You and me, if we eat something, it's gone, finish. It actually becomes a very stinky, horrible form later. Even though it's a gulab jamun, even though it's a pizza, even though it is the best possible thing. That doesn't happen with Krishna. So the technical word for incarnation is avatar. Ava means to come down. And tar means to deliver, to help. So whenever a Vishnu incarnation, Vishnu Tattva, somebody who is the Supreme Lord, when he comes down, that is called avatar. The second question is expansion. Now, I have been in one small county fair where there was this hall of mirrors. Nowadays, there is not so much of a popularity, but kids would go and there are mirrors all around. And you can see so many of you. I think in some bathrooms in the West I've been, there are the three-sided mirror. So when you go there, you become three. Now, did you really expand? No. You are the one person. Like in a movie, there's a double role. That doesn't mean that for that particular part, this actor actually became two. No, he's one. So Krishna is not like that. Krishna can actually expand. And that expansion can think, feel, act in an independent way. So Krishna and Balram, so Balram is Krishna's expansion. But you see sometimes the disagreements which happen. Balram wants Subhadra to marry Duryodhana of all people. And Krishna says, no. Krishna says, I'll help the Pandavas in their fight. And Balram says, I have nothing to do with this. Krishna's favorite friend is Arjun. Balram's favorite disciple is Duryodhana. So the expansion can have this kind of independence, but at the same time, they remain Vishnu Tattva only. They never become like you and me, never become ordinary living entities. Portion is like one step below that. So Krishna has 6 attributes, 6 opulences. Now Krishna's one opulence of administration, how to expertly manage a nation, that is shown by Prithu, King Prithu in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Or Krishna's devotion service aspect is shown by Narada Muni. His knowledge aspect is shown by Kapila Muni. So they are sometimes identified as this particular personality is showing a portion of the Lord's ability. Therefore, they are called Amsha, or a portion. Something even lower than that then becomes a portion of a portion. Right? And now your last thing is a plenary portion. Plenary is a legal term. Like say there are 200 members of the Senate, American Senate, or 500 members of the Indian Lok Sabha. When all of them are present, it is called a plenary session. If a particular body convenes a meeting and all the members are present, it becomes a plenary session. So a plenary portion means somebody who has all the attributes of the Lord, but may not exhibit all of them. Like Lord Ram sometimes shows the inability. There are sages who came and told him that we are very attracted to you. So Lord Ram says, so what? So can we have a pastime session with you as your consorts? And Ram said, no. In this life, Eka Patni Vrat, only one wife. Now you may say, but does it mean that somebody put a stricture on Ram? Nobody put any limitations on him. He's having his own sweet will. So when he, Maryada Purushottam, when he follows something, it is his own will. And as Krishna, he married 16,108 wives. Who told him to do that? No one. His own sweet will. So this is how you can understand these terms. I'm giving a very basic rudimentary thing. Later we may touch back over the first 7 chapters of Adi-Lila and to tell you the truth, that philosophy is so thick, it will make your head hurt. In our, it's a funny story. There was a lawyer, or there is a lawyer, maybe he's still there, in one of the suburbs of Mumbai. And one of our book distributors went and gave him a philosophy book. He said, do you know who I am? For the last 40 years, I have read everything about Indian philosophy. The mood was, I know everything. Do you have anything which can make my head spin? So he says, well, try this book, Teachings of Lord Caitanya. He gave him the book. In 6 months' time, he confessed, my Lord, every paragraph has so much that for the first time, I'm happy that I'm defeated, he said. I'm happy. I got something that my brain, which is like on acid, is hyper all the time, sometimes fails to understand. So Prabhupada said once that, look, our philosophy is simple. If you are simple, you just want to chant, dance, and take prasadam, you will be advanced. But if you feel that, no, I want philosophy, oh, we have 1,000 pages, 80 books of 1,000 pages each. So that's how it is.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes,
So we,
Prabhu.
one more thing, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you gave